Today's episode is brought to you by Mood. Mood was created in 2002 as an online source for 100% federally legal cannabis grown on small, pesticide-free American farms.
So we're going to tell you about the online cannabis company that's revolutionizing how we deal with life's challenges. From sleepless nights to stress-filled days, Mood.com has created an entire line of not just gummies, but functional gummies that target specific health concerns with 100% federally legal THC blends. They'll deliver them discreetly right to your doorstep.
What makes these gummies different is how they've actually paired the THC and other cannabinoids with herbs and adaptogens. So you're really not going to find gummies like this in dispensary or truly anywhere for this matter. The one that is by far the most intriguing to me, which I think it'll be for Melissa, is the PMS one.
Most definitely. I have cramps. I have discomfort where my head is hurting. I also have, my mood is all over the place when I'm PMSing. So this is there to help for the difficult times in your difficult cycles. And I am so excited to try the PMS Support THC gummies. And you can get 20% off your first order at mood.com with promo code BLAME.
And they literally have gummies for truly everything. Immune support, menopause relief, PMS symptoms, mental clarity, schmexual arousal. And each one is crafted
Schmexual?
Yeah, schmexual.
What's schmexual? Why are you whispering? We're adults here.
We are adults here. If you're an adult, enjoy your weed and your sex. Best of all, not only does Mood stand behind everything with an industry-leading 100-day satisfaction guarantee, but as we mentioned, listeners get 20% off their first order with code BLAME.
So head to mood.com, browse their amazing selection of functional gummies, and find the perfect gummy for whatever you're dealing with. And remember to use code BLAME at checkout to save 20% on your first order.
Meta AI is the personal AI to help you with whatever you need. Plus, it meets you where you are. Not only is Meta AI now an app, but it's also on the apps you already know and love. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. Plus the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. It's easy to access wherever you are. So whether you're talking or texting, Meta AI is convenient to use throughout your day. Experience our newest AI that's tailored to you by downloading the Meta AI app. Try the Meta AI app today on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
Hello.
Welcome to a brand new episode of But Am I Wrong?
Welcome to episode
150. Baby.
Wow. What a celebration. There's streamers, confetti everywhere. The crowd goes wild. Welcome. We're so happy. We've made it to 150 episodes, which feels crazy. So happy to be here. And this is a podcast where we talk shit. We've talked shit for now. It's gonna be 150 episodes, and surprisingly, or not surprisingly, we never run out of shit to talk, people to talk shit about.
Yep. And it's 150 plus because the But Am I Watchings aren't included in it.
Oh,
but
fair.
This is just raw. But Am I Wrong?
Ooh, raw. Yeah. Raw dog at the But Am I Wrong? So that's what this is. And we've got 3 different segments. We'll explain each one before we get into it. But what you really need to know is we want you to vote on who you think was wrong in each segment on this episode. We post stories over on Instagram with polls. So you vote, I thought they were wrong. I didn't think they were wrong. And then you can write in on those exact stories and write in why you voted the way you did, why you feel the way you did. Sometimes we have updates from people who were featured on the episodes being like, oh my gosh, this, and this happened since then. Whatever, and then we read all of that on our Tuesday episode called See You Next Tuesday. So you get you get some follow-up, and which is my favorite. Like, I love to touch base after talking shit.
Me too.
You know, like, let's circle back to the shit talking. Let's tie it up with a nice little bow.
Yeah, that's why we say that at the end of the episode.
Exactly. But our first segment is But Am I Wrong? Where we pitch to each other, to the audience, if we are wrong. So it could be like a hot take. It could be something like actually happening in our life. And it could also just be a rant that we want to know if we are in the wrong about, or if you're like, no, I stand with her.
Yeah.
So mine is something that I fear is quite literally a decently hot take, because I have like never seen someone say this take, and it's so low stakes. And like, I'm a big fan of caring about something a lot that like is fucking inconsequential. But like, there are certain times where I'm like, I actually don't know how much money you would have to pay me to care as much as people seemingly care about this.
Okay. You've piqued my interest.
And it's a statement. And the statement is just like chill with the wedding dress codes. The discourse around,
Ooh.
I know,
Ooh.
the discourse around like the wedding dress codes of people being like, that is not black tie, that is not black tie, that is not black tie, blah, 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 blah. The weddings themselves usually are not black tie events. If you're on a beach, you don't have to wear a black tie ball gown. This like criticism of this in general, different locations will have like different definitions of what they will call like black tie. But also, as someone who's had a lot of fucking people in my life get married, a lot of the time people put black tie and I'm like, oh, so floor length gown. And they're like, oh, it doesn't really need, usually it means I want the guys to wear tuxes, or I just want them to wear dark colored suits. And if I make it more fancy, the people I'm concerned about not being fancy enough, they'll end up somewhere in the middle. But I've been to black tie weddings where people who, you know, are very well known. I've been to black tie weddings. I've been to weddings with black tie dress codes that were in vogue. And you can look and you'll see a lot of dresses that are not considered black tie. You'll see a couple that are, and I will tell you that those people kind of were an anomaly. Like, they were the ones who didn't necessarily fit in with that. And this all really came to a head for me. Like, I felt this way specifically about like black tie, and people like, not fancy enough, not fancy enough, not fancy enough. And I'm like, it's quite literally like, you will be fine. Like, you will be fine unless you're going where you do not know the couple. It is a location you've never been to. You can have no kind of discourse with the fellow guests or whatever. I'm like, having something that has a slit versus a not slit that's like the same black dress, it's not make or break in a situation, or that you are going to be like so out of place there. Wear something simple. Someone's like, you can't wear metallics. And I was like, okay, this is getting excessive. Don't wear white. Don't wear something that is you're uncomfortable in the sense of like, it's very showing whatever that stuff is. But there's this person who is currently getting dragged through the mud because she was like, I bought some outfits I'm going to a Western elegance wedding. Which one of these do you like? And people are like, literally none of these. And she was like, okay, that's not what I asked. And I will say, fair fucking point. That is not what she asked. And Western elegance to, you know, those of us in coastal elite cities is like a fun little costume going for it. In this area where she is, if she's going to a wedding with all these people she knows, the Western elegance might be the fringe skirt. It might not be a big fashion moment. And if everybody's like, no, you have to wear this, and this, she shows up feeling so uncomfortable in her own skin to a wedding that she's going to be the most absolutely overdressed too. I think in general, this all does stem from the part of like, do not if you're not confident in your decision, do not ask people, what should I choose to do on TikTok online? Because it's happening worldwide. You're getting people everywhere. If you are like, I know that this is it, I'm in a specific, like, she's in like, literally everyone's like, go to the mall. She's like, we don't have a mall. It's like, I live on like a one dirt road, middle of nowhere. Like, it is, I promise you, this wedding's probably in a barn. This wedding is not at like an event. This is not like a black tie elegance level wedding. You need to send it to the people you know who are going, who are in your town, who know of any of that. Once you put it out into the ether, once you put it online, everybody's opinions come in. And I do think that the idea that these wedding dress codes, I think if you want to be so serious about your wedding dress code and everyone needs to adhere to it, if there's not a Pinterest board with inspiration outfits for all body shapes, body sizes, heights, all ages, everything with multiple options, I don't think you can be that mad. And I love dressing up.
Here, I'm going disagreeing with you.
That's fine.
I love dressing up.
Me
I
too.
love dressing on theme.
Mm-hmm.
I love nailing the theme. I mean, I grew up going to banquets and cotillions and
I love that.
ballroom elegance and, just etiquette class and things. And there are very specific rules for every single one of these.
100%.
Some people do not know the rules.
Yep.
And so I was not with you until you said the last part where send a Pinterest board. But the internet art, there's so many answers to these questions that are readily available.
Western elegance is not like an official.
I know when I hear Western elegance, I know what that means.
But I think in general, it's based on your lived experience and like your fashion and style. But like for her, when people were like suggesting that she wear these dresses and she goes, no, that's like a bride. That's what the bridesmaids would wear. That's like the level of fancy that they wear, that like I think people mischaracterize their own events.
That's the thing. It's
that's the issue.
That's also the thing. Is like people don't know exactly what they want. They think black tie means wearing a black tie, and that's not what black tie means.
Yep.
They think that like business means one thing when they're actually thinking about business casual.
Mm-hmm.
There are different levels to every one of these, and there are rules set for each one. But people, when they're telling what they want, they don't actually know what they want.
No, and
so if you don't know what you want, then you don't have a leg to stand on. But if you know exactly what you want and people do not show up in what you want, I think you have a right to be mad at them.
Totally. But to me, that's like the reading of the room kind of a thing, where it's like, I think if you like know where you're going, you know the venue, you know the location, and this is not a black tie event, and you're telling me to come dressed black tie, and you're like, I'm going to wear a wedge because I'm on sand, then I'm like, yeah, I don't think that the person hosting the party and deciding on the theme or the attire, I don't think that they can be mad in that instance. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, use your own judgment in that aspect of it. And if you're going to bring it online, you have to understand that like these people aren't from your small town. These people don't know the person who's getting married. They don't know any of that kind of thing. Like there's a way to figure out what you want to wear to a wedding or whatever, and know that like when one person says black tie does not mean the same thing as when another person says black tie. Mm-hmm. But this idea that something's objectively right or wrong in attire, totally. On a specific invite from a wedding from someone who that person knows who's inviting them to the wedding, sure, they might say black tie on that, but that doesn't mean how that person is going to dress is objectively wrong unless they are a +1. And then again, I say to that, like, don't post it fucking online. But like this whole thing of like, how could she be? Because like, this lady's not being like very kind about it. Like she's like snapping back at people. But like, I didn't grow up like in a rural area, but like it took us a while to get to like a mall. Like I couldn't just like go to my town and like buy a dress for like a form, like whatever that is and kind of a thing. And this whole thing of like people telling this woman that like she's going to look so stupid. I'm like, do I think she brought it on herself because she put this on the internet? Yes, totally. But do I think you can use context clues based on like some of the photos of her in like a quote unquote fancy dress in the background of a picture that is her wedding, which everyone's like, I heard she's not even wearing a formal dress to her own wedding. And I'm like, okay, can we maybe use the context clues to not drag this woman absolutely through the mud? And like, I will say, the outfits got worse. And sometimes that also happens when you criticize someone for this. It gets worse.
I hate ChatGPT, but someone did post a ChatGPT of what she should do. And it looked great because it included pieces she already had. And they put it together. And she was like, no. I said I wanted what I wanted to pick out of the outfits I already have. And they're like, it's what you have. Just rearrange it.
I saw someone who bought the skirt that she bought and then styled outfits with like similar pieces in that kind of way. And, I think like some people are not fashion people. And I think the issue is some people ask for advice on like clothes to be like, should I wear this one or this one? Not looking to look any which way. It is just like you're picking amongst these sort of things, and like that can be hard as a viewer to just be like, this is not great.
But also I think a part of it is her realizing that she got people interested, and
Yes.
she's doing a lot of pushback because she's like, now people are looking at me and I'm getting attention, and so I'm going to keep posting.
Well, I think the whole discourse of black tie now, anytime someone be like, hey, so I'm going to a black tie wedding, I know that unless we're on part 4 of this, we're in the rage bait era, because you know that you're farming for this kind of a thing, and like that we just know that it's going to blow up because people are like this, but like I do think people get way too nitpicky about like certain like people. Someone said something like, yeah, don't wear like a jersey dress or like cotton, like something like that, but like material, like
I thought you meant an actual jersey
I realized
dress.
when I saw your face, I was like, I have to clarify, like a Skims dress. Like, don't wear like a Skims dress. It's not just like any like long formal, but like saying like someone had one that was like it was printed, like it was like a watercolor floral, no white, dark blue, and they're like, no, it has to be solid color. It has to be jewel tones. This color is too much of a warm color versus a whatever. And I'm like, okay, now I feel like the comments are rage baiting.
Yeah.
And we're all arguing over this. And I'm just, I don't think I've ever been poorly dressed for a wedding. I also need people to stop, though, coming up with fake attires.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think I went to one, which loved them to death.
I remember when... Yeah, I remember when we were trying to figure out what that actually meant.
It was like a beachy black tie something. And
Coastal.
I was like,
Coastal was in there.
Yes. And I was like, am I on the sand? And I literally am like texting all these other girls I know who are going, being like, so do we know where the location is? Like, is it on sand? Like, are we wearing like, because like if it's long dresses, is there water? Like, what's the vibe? And it was like, we were like so stressed about it, but like, you know, some people just like they think they're being more helpful than they actually are with that. And I think the most helpful thing you could ever do is like come up with like, a Pinterest board of like style, vibe kind of things that you would like.
No, when I say black tie, it's black tie.
Without a doubt.
I just want to be clear, not to you, just
God.
as a whole. When I said a theme, that's what I mean.
No, I text you before your birthday and I said, what should I wear?
What's the vibe?
Like, I know that wholeheartedly. And then there are other people I know who are saying this, and I'm like, you're trying to make sure your uncle doesn't wear jeans. Mm-hmm. And like, I've even had friends who like have like said like, oh, I'm doing a black tie wedding. And I was like, okay, so tuxes. And they were like, no. And I was like,
that's what
so that is actually what that means. Really the only big difference typically, and people want to get nitpicky, but like the most often difference between black tie visually for most people is between formal and black tie is usually what the men are wearing. Mm-hmm. Women, you can wear a lot of the exact same thing for black tie as well as evening dress. Women will wear black tie dresses to a formal evening. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you'll have...
But there is a difference.
No, totally. But, like, you will get people who are wearing something slightly more and less formal for that. And the big difference is tuxes. Yeah. So, I can't wait to see what this woman wears. I'm honestly, though, kind of waiting. She's, like, never going to post it. But now, I do think I need to go to a Western Elegance wedding. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of who that would be.
No, I think it'd have to be a Western Elegance themed party.
Yeah.
I don't think
maybe I'll do that for my birthday.
Love it.
If I ever have one.
We've got cowboy hats.
I know. If I ever have one, though. You know, my birthday party's
and got a little curse.
It's going to be... next year, I think my birthday does land on President's Day, too. So it's going to be...
I think this year, you broke the cycle.
Not really, because that wasn't the plan.
Yeah, but we still did, like...
We still did something, but my plan was not even to be here.
I know.
So it wasn't going to include anybody else.
No, I know. But I do think we're getting baby steps closer to not fully scrapping.
But we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we'll get into mine, what actually dovetails perfectly into this discussion.
Ooh, flawless.
Is the state of the U.S. making you want to escape?
Yes. And you can take the first step and learn the language before you go. Who makes it easy, Melissa?
BAIW makes it easy.
We are so happy that we have a new sponsor. It is BAIW, and not to fangirl too hard. We begged BAIW. We said, BAIW, BAIW, we need you.
Our audience wants you and needs you and asked us, hey, who do you guys recommend for languages?
And we're happy to say it's BAIW.
Not only do sometimes I want to escape, but I also want to stay here and talk to the people here on the ground, especially in our state of California. So I want to brush up and make my Spanish stronger. I took Spanish throughout school. I took Spanish and French, but I really, really need to strengthen my Spanish. What about you?
Spanish is the language that I grew up in California. So like that is like you said, like from the time that I could talk, like the names of different streets. It was so like ingrained, handcrafted by over 200 language experts. Yeah, they are voiced by, get ready, voiced by real native speakers.
Real people.
Oh, and they're built with science-backed cognitive tools like spaced repetition and interactive features to fit any learning style. I'm a big fan of BAIW games. This girl loves a game.
We both love games.
And like the sentence building stuff. So having it be in like a game format makes me feel, it doesn't make me feel like I'm learning. It doesn't make me feel like I'm being scolded in school. I'm just like learning something new, but I'm mostly playing a game.
We want you to learn another language, so we're teaming up with BAIW to give you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/don'tblameme.
Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/don'tblameme, spelled BABBEL.com/don'tblameme.
Babbel.com/don'tblameme.
Rules and restrictions may apply.
If you've ever shopped online, and let's face it, who hasn't? Chances are you've bought something from a business powered by Shopify. You know that purple Shop Pay button you see at checkout? The one that makes buying so incredibly easy? That's Shopify. And there's a reason so many businesses sell with it, because Shopify makes things easier, and not just for shoppers. They make it easy to start and run your business. Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. It gives you a leg up from day dot with hundreds of beautiful ready-to-go templates to express your brand style so you can get up and running fast. You can tackle your important tasks, from inventory to payments to analytics and more, all in one place. You can also spread your brand's word with built-in marketing and email tools built for you to find and keep new customers. And remember that iconic purple Shop Pay button that's used by millions of businesses around the world? It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. Your customers already know and love it. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. Shopify.com/realm.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. Goldbelly ships Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garden's famous cakes. So, if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT. That's goldbelly.com, promo code GIFT.
We're back, and it's Melissa's turn.
Mine is also about people just posting things online, just saying shit to be saying shit.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is really stupid. Like, incredibly stupid.
Love it.
Someone that takes a serious question and then they just make up lies.
Okay.
Okay, so you actually brought this up to me yesterday, and I said, no, save it. We're not going to talk about this because this is my but am I wrong for tomorrow. And it really makes me question humanity, where we're headed, specifically when it comes to the cesspool of social media. What is it? We need to have a moment of absolute clarity. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but faking your friend's death to make content is sick and twisted behavior, and you should be banned from every single social media platform unequivocally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm talking about this garbage human being who goes by Not Victor on TikTok. And so I'm just going to lay out this timeline of this repugnant saga because you need to understand the depths of this depravity. This individual, this parasite, posted a video with him and two friends happily singing before a concert. And I'm not going to say what concert it was because it's not
none of their business
important to the story, because I also don't think that this person's name should be brought up when it comes to the story.
No, exactly.
But you can do your own research and find it. And so they're happily singing before a concert, and then without an ounce of shame, we get a transition to them at said concert. It started with 3 friends, and now we're down to 2. And it says, POV, your friend died on your way to a blank artist concert. And then the hashtag said, dead friend forever. Forever? Seriously? You know what's forever? This disgust that I feel. But it gets worse. They didn't just make one video. And at first, when I saw this, I was like, okay. And then it becomes that this is actually a clout chasing ghoul. In the very next video, this thing has the audacity, the unmitigated gall to spin a narrative. He claims they had always dreamed of going to this artist concert together, and then they got on the subway, headed to the show, and then cue some dramatic music. The friend starts feeling a strong pain in their chest. Oh, and of course that friend had a pre-existing heart condition. So they got off the train, called an ambulance, and the friend passed out. And by the time the paramedics got there, they were like, oh, your friend's dead. And then the guy that posted this and the other friend decided to go to the concert anyway, because that's what he would have liked. And that's what the artist would have liked as well. Let's pause right there. The artist, who by all accounts is incredibly family forward, community oriented, I truly doubt that she or any decent person would want you to attend a concert instead of, I don't know, calling the loved ones of the deceased friend, or perhaps, and this is just a wild thought, grieving.
Chest compressions?
Like your friend passes out, you say they pass out, and in that time they died?
Is your
and
hand
you
on
didn't
their
know
fucking
that?
pulse?
You didn't even try? And you didn't notice they stopped breathing?
Ooh, baby.
Do not drag this artist into this discussion, this manipulative narrative for views. She doesn't know you, and frankly, she doesn't deserve to be associated with this. And the layers of this just keep going. The layers of onion, the stench is getting worse. In another video, this lowlife posts a clip of the artist flying over the crowd during the show. And the words on the screen said, when she flew over the crowd, I'm sure she was trying to get closer to him. Again, she doesn't know you. She didn't know that this supposed friend was dead. She's been doing this for numerous shows before. She's performing to thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, not performing a seance to your digital audience. The level of self-absorption of this person is just so crazy. And then it keeps going. Someone responded to the original video, noticing that he was holding his dog, and made the comment, why did I read that and thought the dog died? And then what does this monster do? He posts another video, shirtless, playing with the dog and kissing the dog, and declares, I would never go to a concert if my dog had died. What the fuck? I didn't say what the fuck. He said that in the video. He would never go to the concert if his dog died, but he's perfectly fine doing it if his human friend died. This just taps right into Megan's point about people loving animals more than they love their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, he just keeps going. He then posts another video with the text on screen complaining, "My chronically offline boyfriend doesn't get the importance of a viral TikTok," and keeps saying, "I should be more sad about what happened and less excited about this social media stuff." So he's leaving the city on his bike to get away from all this. Boo fucking who. One, I don't believe that was your boyfriend because he looked like he was afraid of you and you just pointed the camera in his way. And two, at least one of you has a shred of decency if this is his actual person. But again, I don't believe this is his actual boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And then when confronted by people who called out his behavior, suggesting that the artist wouldn't approve of his actions, his response was even more unhinged. "You think you know her better than me? I've been to 7 of her concerts. I have all her albums, and our birthdays are 12 days apart from each other. I do feel like I know her better than you think, and on a deeper level. And she would like me to honor my friends, so I'd sit this one out if I were you." How arrogant. Your proximity to a release date means nothing. This is not about honoring your friend. It's about justifying your behavior, and you're trying to silence legitimate criticism with manufactured authority. And then he showed himself at the concert wearing a shirt with the artist on it and her collaborator, and claims that, oh, and then the collaborator did bring out that artist during the show. And then he posts a picture and says that his friend told him to wear the shirt because his friend knew that the collaborator was going to come. And so he keeps making up this fabricated narrative about trying to weave this fake tragedy into the fabric of genuine events and making it all about him. And then finally, in the last video that was posted about an hour ago, but he has probably posted numerous since then, he asked someone asked if he sold his friend's ticket. And he replied, "Yeah, we sold it for double the price and used the money to buy merch." If his friend had actually died, I would have more respect for him saying that they went to the concert as a form of tribute, albeit an unusual one. But it's the way that this is so transparently, glaringly, unbelievably fake, and so obviously a desperate grab for attention that it makes me repulsed, but also laugh. I know by me talking about it, I'm giving attention that he craves, but if I wasn't doing this, I would have immediately blocked him and never thought about him again. But what hurts my heart is that there are many people in the comments that believe this lie. And I think it's a prime example of people not using, one, critical thinking skills. And it also highlights the true dangerous landscape of lies and manipulation that can spread on social media. This is not just a harmless content creation. This is emotional exploitation. It's disrespectful to anyone who has actually lost a loved one. And I feel like it's a stain on human decency. This is not a fan. This is an asshole. And he and anyone who engages in such morally bankrupt, attention-seeking behavior should be permanently banned from every platform that they pollute. There should be consequences for this kind of digital depravity. It's beyond time that we demand better from ourselves and from platforms that host these displays of just lies. Because while this may be lighthearted, other people do lie about things that are very serious. And death is serious. I'm not saying that. But like the things he's saying to me,
the videos,
it's very telling that the stories aren't true, but there are people that believe it.
I know.
And the thing is, too, we talk about the dangers of AI. He's not using AI. He's just making shit up and posting it.
Lying.
And I just feel like the friend, like, by the time we are visiting this again, when we do see you next Tuesday, he's going to be like, "Oh my God, my friend just rose from the dead."
I have to say, I do objectively think this is very funny. And like, I have been watching this, and like, from the first video, I knew this man was lying.
Yes.
And I was laughing, and it took until probably video 6 for me to open up the comments.
That's
and
the thing,
I
is the comments.
And then I realized quickly, oh my gosh, these people don't know he's lying. And then I go back and I look at the other comments and I go, oh my God, he knows that these people don't think he's joking.
Yes, and so he's just digging more in.
He's just going so much further in, which is making it so much more obvious to those of us who clearly know that this is not real, but is making it so much worse to these people who think it's real. I spit out my fucking water. I was cackling because this is objectively so fucking funny. But the thing that I think is that, like, I'm superstitious in a way that I'm like, I don't think you can joke about someone dying unless they're already dead. And I'm like, if I was that's why friend, I said I would be like,
yeah, like if the friend was already dead, then I would be actually dead. I'm like, okay, I'm here. Like you're using your grief as a as a form of
they died like 5 years ago, and then it's just like like it's something along the lines of like, okay, whatever. I'd be like, okay, in poor taste, but I can't judge. Or if like, you make this joke and it's like, oh, I'm going with my grandma, and like it's a picture of Betty White. I'm like, okay, and like she's dead. Like, okay. But like if I'm the friend who like quite literally like just didn't have tickets or is being cropped out of the videos, I'm like, so how did you decide which one of your friends you're gonna kill off? Because if I'm them,
they said this is the one that's furthest away from me while we're recording.
I'm the one living life like, okay, now life is Final Destination. I'm thinking every fucking like loose piece of lumber on a fucking truck that is gonna impale me and kill. Like, I think my days are fucking numbered. And for that, if I was a friend, I would be annoyed. But my God, it gave me. And like the dog video being like, that'd be really fucked up. Like, that's fucking crazy. I'm like, and people are like, wow. And I'm like, oh my God. It is so funny to me. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's ethically okay. But my God, is it killing me.
I will say the likes and the comments have gone down significantly from the first ones.
So I think it's petering out.
Mm-hmm.
But like the fact that this is even believable to some people is because of this like fucking obsession people have with animals over humans.
Yes.
I'm like, oh God, that's why they believe it. Because in me, I'm like, okay, this is clear. Now everyone knows that this is a lie. And then it's like, oh no, they don't, because people actually do believe this and think this way. Oh wow, I'm so glad we got to talk about this. Thank you. I have been waiting to talk about it. And the fake boyfriend, like it is.
That
and
man
like,
looks terrified.
No, and I'm almost like, you're a creative. What is your, like, I'm not looking to get you fired. I'm just looking to support whatever creative work you're doing, because we are weaving tales. We are telling stories. Like, you've got, if I find out you don't have a creative job, I'm going to tell you got to tap on into that. At least open an Etsy shop. Like, you've got some untapped creative potential.
If they they should do this. They should open an Etsy shop and have one of those spray paint RIP
shirts.
Yeah. The airbrush RIP shirts.
I would love that. And it could be like RIP to my friend for not attending the Beyonce concert, and then on the back, and it's like, they didn't die, they just got stuck in the Ticketmaster queue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you keep your conscience clean. Oh, so funny. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
I skipped a lot of what I was going to say, but I really weaved it.
No,
the words were very.
You told a beautiful story of trials and tribulations.
Yeah. All right.
Our next segment is But Are You Wrong? Where you write into butamiwrongpod@gmail.com. Tell us the circumstance or situation that you want to know if you are in the wrong about. It has to be under 300 words. It is all anonymous, but please tell us how old you are, because you have to be over 18, but we need to know your actual age because it is helpful for this, the context. 300 words, tell us everything that's happening. And you can also use the form we have in our show notes. It's also linked on our social media. And let's do it. So this person's 31, he, him. I've been watching Love Island for the first time, starting with the season currently airing, and my entire For You page is consumed with content about it. Same. Normally, this is not a show I would go out of my way to watch, but I was on a bachelorette trip, binge watching it poolside, and now I am hooked. As a gay man, normally I don't get stuff like this on my algorithm, so I'm seeing a new side of TikTok, and I'm not liking it. Specifically, videos of people mocking Zach with a C from Scottsdale. Oh, okay. I was like, I love mocking Zach with a C from Scottsdale, but not for this reason. About how he is quote unquote zesty, and comments about how girls looked at their husbands and immediately clocked him as zesty. Their husbands are mimicking the way he walked into Casa Amor with his hair flips and limp wrists. In my opinion, this feels blatantly homophobic. Zesty is being used to mock, belittle, and assume sexuality and perpetuate harmful stereotypes that there is a quote-unquote right way for men to behave. I understand that Love Island can get pretty toxic from what I've seen so far, and toxic people will be fans of the show too, but is this a niche group of people I've stumbled upon, or is zesty just a common phrase straight people throw around without realizing their intent? Am I making zesty a bigger issue than it is, or is zesty actually a problematic, under-the-radar way to call someone a homophobic slur? Can we get Hillary Duff to make a commercial about this and tell people to knock it off? That's so gay. Do you know why you say that?
So you get in, and then I'm going to add in, because I don't watch the show, but I have something that is relevant that relates to this.
So you did stumble upon a specific sector of the internet, because I have seen absolutely nothing about this. I not to dispute if he was acting or carrying himself a certain way, that it would be bad in that instance. But if you're watching the show too, the person who wrote in, you're watching the show too, same as me. This is so clearly coming from people that are so concerned with other people's sexualities. Cause this is not this wasn't a moment where a song is playing and you feel oh, the editors are trying to make you feel a certain type of way, or they're trying to get you, or something that's so in this, I swear this ties into it, but on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, all of the girls have extensions. And one of the girls, her name is Layla. They filmed her from behind, and they film all the girls from behind, the foreground shot, the nice and blurry. And they will, you know that they have extensions in the back of their hair, but they always blur them out. So you're not in focus. And for Layla, for one they zoomed in on her tape and extensions in her hair. And they didn't do that with everybody else. Mm-hmm. And so they've also done in times where Whitney had toilet paper on her shoe, and they zoom in, they do that. So all I'm trying to say is that it's not Love Island editors did something to make you notice this, or make you intend for you to feel a certain type of way about this. They didn't pick a song, they didn't do that or whatever. And this discourse, I have not seen it happening on this season. I've seen it happen one other time in Love Island UK with a different person on the cast. And I would say that the editing definitely wanted that discourse, wanted you to be okay. And, I think even the discourse came up on the show about this person was not from the country of origin of that season of Love Island, and all of these other conversations about that. But in this instance, this is just people who are constantly perpetually afraid that their husbands are gay. That's what that is to me. There's a certain kind of woman who feels so deeply threatened by gay men that they think that they are going to steal their husbands, and they are so worried about it, that it just becomes that, and homophobic husbands. To me, this is just point blank homophobic, especially especially in this context, because there was no editing that's trying to make you feel or think a certain type of way. They're not trying to give you a certain point of view. This is something that the only thing I noticed was that this is a white man from Scottsdale, and I said yuck, because immediately I don't want a man from Scottsdale. No, he looks, that's just, it's not my vibe. It's not my personality vibe. It's the same thing as all of the men on The Bachelorette who are from San Diego. And you go, I know the type, not interested. But this feels so, I literally have not seen this discourse anywhere.
So I don't know if you've seen this viral dance that Keith Lee actually made that's going on right now. And there is discourse of people saying that he looks zesty in it, or that the dance is zesty, or the song that he is dancing to makes him look zesty. I think it's one because people don't, there's homophobia and also sexism that goes on where it's totally fine for women to rap or dance to men's songs, but anytime a straight man raps or dances to a song that a woman rapper is performing, then it's just inherently gay. Mm-hmm. So the people rapping on this song are women. What they're saying in the song is don't bring your man around here because I will fuck him on his back.
Mm-hmm.
The dance is very catchy. People thought he was just like doing another dance trend, but he did it himself, and he did it, I'll point out, on his wife's TikTok page. His wife's TikTok page.
Fellas, is having a wife gay?
Right. His pregnant wife's.
Fella, is fucking your wife gay? Is fucking your wife raw gay?
Uh-huh.
Huh?
I've seen men do this. I've seen women do this. But then after a few days passed, they were like, yeah, I want to do this, but like, it looks zesty. Or like, that's what women are. The men will be like, it looks gay. And then the women are like, yeah, I can't look at men doing this because they look zesty. And mind you, most of the men that are doing this are unequivocally the most attractive men I've ever seen in my life.
I want men to never stop doing this.
Right, like, I don't know what this song brought out, but I am seeing the sexiest men do this.
The hotties have risen. They've opened up the app. They've been compelled and to set their phone down to record, and I've said, nobody say anything. Let him do it.
And there's nothing. What he's doing, it's not like he's bent over.
No, it's not something that's trying to make you feel like, it's not alluding to get you to feel that way.
And I simply think it's because it's women that are rapping the song. That's why they're saying that.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I had asked Meghan at the top of this, was this person that you're Zach with the C, is that what you said? If they were white or black, and if you were on black TikTok and seeing that, because that is a word that gets thrown around. It's not, sometimes it doesn't mean it in a negative connotation.
Yeah, I think
and so there's a cultural context to it, and I don't know your ethnicity either or what you're seeing, but it is said a lot in the black community.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's negative, but most of the time it isn't. In the same way, like, there's an old saying, like, he's got a little sugar in his tank, which means that he's gay, but like, it's a sweet way of saying it.
I was going to say, even the term zesty in itself, like, that sounds like you got a little pizzazz to you, which, like, as a kid who was eccentric, is something I heard all the time. But in general, when white people and non-black people tend to co-opt phrases from the black community, we put them with a different meaning.
Yeah.
And
but
like,
in you're saying like it's coming across in a negative way.
Yeah, clearly in this instance, in this way. And I think like there's a way that like people fall for, like I said, you fall for like a story that someone's trying to tell you on whether it's producing on TV or someone's trying to do something on their phone to like get you to feel a certain type of way about it. And if that doesn't exist there, then these people are jumping to that on their own. And that is either an insecurity, a prejudice, both combination. Like that is fully just coming from them and their own thing. And this to me, like, is an extreme case of like, I'm going to say like not even just being like closed-minded and being a bigot or having ideas about men. I'm going to say like this is really coming from a place of insecurity, because like the last time that this conversation was like happening around Love Island, it was a man from a European country that has a stereotype of being a little bit more in touch with like being effeminate. Like that was like there was like a whole like historical fucking conversation about how we perceive men from these specific places and that stuff. And like, it was something that I noticed immediately. And before he opened his mouth, I was like, I bet I don't think he's British. Like, I don't think he's British, even from the way he dressed, all of this kind of stuff. And he was being himself. He wasn't hiding himself. But like, you know, Love Island editing definitely played into that. And people were like, oh, he's whatever. And then as soon as people found out, they're like, oh no, he's just not like these typical British guys that we were seeing. He's not from here. But I think that like in this instance with Zach with the C, like this to me, I'm like, this is like, okay, this feels like, oh, I never like to say that people's bigotry comes from projecting, but to me, this is like I don't even know, there was no editing cues that made you feel like there's nothing of this except for like, you have this like really narrow idea of what masculinity is, to the point where I actually think that there's no way that you or the men in your life fit into that then. Like, I just don't think there's a way, if you've made this so fucking rigid and so fucking narrow, that like you're picking up on like things that are not seen to the naked eye. I'm like, so then is every man zesty? Is every man gay then? Like, you've made this something that is like so impossible to follow through on. It's just fucking weird. I haven't seen any of this. This is wild. I wonder where those people are from too.
The algorithm. I tell you. All right. We're going to take a break. And when we get back, we're actually going to do some updates.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Lights, camera, innovation. Walt Disney Studios chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform the movie-making process. Together, we kept a remote production hub in Hawaii in sync with a team in California to bring Lilo and Stitch to theaters this summer. This is picture-perfect collaboration. This is Walt Disney Studios with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Choice Hotels get you more for your money so you can maximize any road trip. Like with the road trippers we see here in their natural habitat, the breakfast area at a Comfort Inn. Here's a dad teaching his son how to make waffles, fluffy golden waffles. There's a mom making sure her daughter eats some fruit to avoid the "I'm hungry" from the back seat. And a sibling standoff over the last muffin. This is the cycle of vacation maximizationing in all its glory. Check into more. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
We're back and we're doing something a little different today. We're going to read 2 updates because we got them after we did See You Next Tuesday, but they're good updates.
Yep.
All right. So someone had wrote in a few weeks ago where they were trying to get 2 surgeries scheduled, and they were asking, like, were they wrong really to be frustrated about their surgeries? They kept getting pushed back for people that had cancer, but they needed a lumpectomy and they needed that to see if they had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we gave advice. They didn't ask for advice, but we kind of were like, can you split the 2 surgeries up so you can get one of them sooner?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we had left it.
Yep.
All right. So they wrote back and said, I had my lumpectomy and breast reduction on 6/9, and they ended up removing 8 lumps from my right breast. Thankfully, all of them came back benign. The largest mass was about 5 centimeters long, roughly 2 inches, and several others were similar in size. Several had grown at least 1 centimeter since the initial ultrasound done in January. Because of this, they had to remove more breast tissue than initially anticipated, meaning they had to make the final breast size smaller than discussed. We had originally discussed going from initial size H down to D or double D. They ended up making me roughly a small C, which is definitely an adjustment. It's frustrating that if they did the surgery when they initially scheduled it in March, I would have been closer to my preferred size, which the doctor and I agreed was most proportional to my body. But I am grateful to have the surgery at all and that everything came back clear. I'm glad that you were able to get in there and that everything's clear.
Me too. And I think it's fair to be frustrated.
Yeah.
That it, because also even I think even like beyond the just like the aesthetic and like looks part of it, the larger size of like it's a longer recovery. Like it's like it's more stuff had to be done. And so there's less, you can only mentally prepare for like what you know is coming in terms of like mentally, but then also like the physical healing from something like that. So I think it's fair to be frustrated and annoyed about that. And hopefully it makes those doctors realize that they should not push that they shouldn't be so comfortable pushing those appointments back for patients.
Agree. All right, the next one.
Hey, M&M, writing with an update and the schedule the students received. Sorry it's long, but just a table for your reference. So this is the person who wrote in who is teaching a freshman or undergrad class in college. And the students, there was a late paper and accepting a late paper and then not having a citations page. And then they had the excuse about like they dropped their computer broke. They fell on their computer and all these things about like, you know, giving them past the regular allotted extension parameters, which are you have to let know by 24 or 48 hours. There's a certain time period you have to let them know, and then you get this amount of time of extension. So basically like bending those rules as a one-time exception, or were they wrong for not doing that? So I used a scaffolding method when teaching so that students are forced to meet certain deliverables as part of their grade. So they'll have written at least some of their paper throughout the quarter. Oh, that's smart. Mm-hmm. Okay, so she's a reminder message for assignment 1 that's sent out. As a reminder, the final submission for assignment 1 is due this Friday at 11:59 p.m. As always, I will not respond to extension requests sent the same day as the deadline, barring justifiable medical or family emergencies. If you foresee any issues with turning the paper in on time, I can be a little bit flexible. However, please note that you will have your first deliverable for assignment 2 due next Wednesday by section time. Okay. For the 5/28 assignment 2 deliverable, I was missing some submissions, so I asked them to submit by 5 p.m. without penalty for lateness. Even after, I wouldn't have marked as late, but I wanted to give them a deadline. This prompted the message from the student about his broken laptop and incomplete assignment 1 and the late assignment 2 deliverable. So it is both. So to clarify, the student did not reach out the day before, day of, or even the day after the paper was due, but quite a few days after the deadline and submission for assignment 1. And when grading it, he was missing references and multiple parts of his paper. If it was just references, he would have only lost 5 points of a 50-point assignment with the way that the rubric is broken down. And then for assignment 2, it read as AI generated, even after I granted a 48-hour extension. AI usage is very hard to prove, but the short, choppy paragraphs and empty writing did not earn him a great grade. But he still ended up with a B+ in the end of the class thanks to his other assignments and participation. My supervising professor also said no to resubmitting. I really do try to be flexible with students because I'm the worst procrastinator and I don't ever want to be that mean professor. And maybe next time I will ask them to send a picture. LOL. Oh yeah, you were so right. Yeah. That kid also needs to learn how to lie better.
I would love if you were my teacher though.
No, me fucking too. I'm also confused how that kid got into that school with this mentality. It is wild. Okay. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back for our final segment.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at stitchfix.com.
Grit is in you. It's in your passion, your perseverance. It's in every challenge you face and overcome. Grit is in you. It's never in Rockin' Protein. Never settle.
All right, we're back for our last segment, but are they wrong? That's when we pick somebody out there in the real world who really grinds our gears, who pissed us off. Our Rachel of the Week is what we coined it a long time ago. So yeah, this is somebody that's the worst of the worst. They're not necessarily the worst of the worst because there are worse people than the people we talk about, but they're bad people.
Yeah. And they're usually bad people we could talk about doing bad things that we can get through without wanting to like throw our own computers against a wall. So mine, I want to say a quick little update for one of mine, because it was one of my nominations for Wrong of the Week a couple weeks ago, was the guy who blew up the Palm Springs fertility clinic. They had arrested his accomplice who, whatever, that man day before yesterday, was found dead in federal custody, which is feeling like even more suspicious. And like, this man's like in his 20s too. And I'm like, so we have two men in their 20s who like concocted this whole plan themselves, and now they're both dead. Little crazy. But anyways, my nomination is Martin Kove. Who's Martin Kove? I have no idea until this very moment. Martin Kove was on Cobra Kai. He's on Cobra Kai, and then the original Cobra Kai is, what is it called again?
Karate
Kid. So sorry, Moss would kill me. And he was also in that. So he played like the villain, I think, in Karate. I'm not going to speak on Karate Kid. I've never seen Karate Kid.
Great movie.
I'm sure.
I think you'd actually enjoy it a lot.
I think I would too. I think so. My like martial arts movie growing up was Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior. So I think I would like it but that was just of my timeline, my generation.
Three Ninjas is another great one.
Ooh, I bet I'd like that too. So this past weekend at the SummerCon in Puyallup, Washington, convention where, a lot of those cult classic TV shows go with their cast members, meet fans, meet and greets, signings, panels, all of that kind of stuff. Martin Kove bit his Cobra Kai co-star Alicia Hannah Kim's arm at this convention. So I saw this because it popped up on my TikTok, a TMZ video of police body cam footage where she is doing her fucking damn near hardest to gentle parent this 80-year-old man, telling him, and specifically telling his son, tell your dad that he cannot do this. Tell your dad that he cannot do this. So I will say that right off the bat, it seems, because people are like, well, she didn't press charges. From what I've gleaned from all this, it seems that she's obviously upset that he bit her, but she's more upset about his reaction to biting her, which she was like, why are you biting me? And he bit her almost enough to draw blood. There are like imprint marks on her arm. But in the report, she told the officer that they were in the VIP section of the event, and she tapped Kove on the shoulder to say hello, and he just grabbed her arm and bit her, almost drawing blood. So she screamed in pain, and then his response to that was then kissing her arm where he bit her. And she then told her husband, because she was deeply uncomfortable, and when she comes with her husband, so she feels more okay confronting him, saying that he needs to not do this. This was grossly inappropriate. He starts screaming at them, exploding on them, saying, how dare they confront him? She told the officer about all this assault. And during the report, Kove just told the officer that he was just trying to be funny and saying they play fight all the time on the set of Cobra Kai. He was then said that he was asked to leave this event and was said that she's not pressing charges, but she is filing a report in case this kind of behavior continues. And he, through a crisis management, released a statement. I deeply regret and apologize for my actions regarding the incident with Alicia Hannah Kim, a genuinely kind and wonderful person who didn't deserve to be put in this position. I've always respected and considered her a highly professional and talented coworker on Cobra Kai. I was being playful in the moment, but went too far, and there's absolutely no excuse for my behavior. I regret my actions, for which I take full responsibility for what I did, and again apologize to her and her husband. For what? Because you're not saying that you screamed at them and you're upset about that. I'm committed to learning from this, and it will never happen again. So yeah, I think this shit is fucking wild. And there's been a lot of speculation of people trying to read between the lines about how she's talking to him about this. And they're like, it doesn't seem like this is the first time that he's done something like this. And it seems like she's not pressing charges, and people are like, is she aware? It's the reason why she told his son about this is because this man is 80 and she's sensing that this is a cognitive decline or anything like that. And I think trying to explain away or justify what any of those things I think is kind of wild. She doesn't have to press charges if she doesn't want to. the idea that like, oh, he's a poor old man, but like versus like she's an Asian woman who is on a very successful television show. She might not want to press charges for the fucking like OG really successful, like she might not feel comfortable in job security for that. It doesn't have to be a thing of like, oh, a woman is being nurturing and caring for an old man. And I'm like, no, it could literally just be like, I want to make sure that this doesn't fuck with my job. Or that like, I don't think this man is capable of change. I don't necessarily think he's like, you know, old and like not all there. I think he's set in his ways and a fucking asshole. Like it can be any of those sort of things. The fact that like none of this addresses the fact that yes, she's obviously mad that he bit her, but seemingly it is the fact his response about being like, when you get mad when you've done something to like physically hurt someone else and you are mad that they are upset about it, it's because you think that you have the right to do that. And you think that you should be allowed to do that without consequence. And like, to me, his apology has like zero recognition of that. And I think everyone's really focusing on the biting, which again, obviously is horrible, but it's the fact that like he thinks that's okay and is funny is the part that I find really insane. And I would love if he apologized for that. And I wonder if he's going to be in the next season of Cobra Kai.
Probably not. I think this might be the last one, but they keep doing spinoffs.
I know.
All right, here's mine. And it's sad. Here's another despicable human being. A 22-year-old individual is now indefinitely banned from all Major League Baseball parks for verbally assaulting an Arizona Diamondbacks second baseman, Ketel Marte, during a game that happened on June 24th. The fan made some outrageous comments about Marte's deceased mother, it caused the player to break down in tears on the field. And it occurred while Marte was at bat in the top of the 7th inning. And this fan, in the articles, they keep calling him a fan, but to me, he's a heckler. Were clearly audible to Marte and their manager, Tori, and other teammates. Marte was just like crying and being consoled by Tori during the pitching change. And so Marte's mother tragically died in a car accident in 2017, which is a deeply painful and personal loss because he had just talked to his mom on the phone like seconds before it happened. And like I said, this is not a fan. This is an individual who deliberately and cruelly targeted a professional athlete with deeply personal and hurtful remarks crossing every conceivable line of decency and sportsmanship. They haven't released this man's name, but you can see him on video. The Chicago White Sox and Major League Baseball swiftly responded, identifying and ejecting the individual, who was later banned indefinitely, while the White Sox stated that the man was very apologetic and remorseful. His actions, to me, speak louder than words. He was just being hateful. And this incident serves as a stark reminder that athletes are not immune to the impact of hateful speech. The Diamondbacks pitcher elegantly stated, "It's funny to see a situation like that happen. I don't know the kid who said it, but I'm imagining if he saw Ketel on the street, he wouldn't have said anything to him. But fans get a little bit braver in the stands sometimes when they're at a sporting event and there's a net that separates us. They sometimes forget that we're just human beings just like everyone else." There's an alleged story going around about this person, and I don't know it's true because they still haven't released his name. But this story says that he's actually like in massive debt and was trying to affect Marte's performance to win the bet. This only underscores that this individual's moral bankruptcy. This was not about supporting a team or engaging in spirited rivalry. It was a calculated and cruel attempt to inflict emotional distress for personal gain. And this type of behavior has no place in sports or anywhere else, and the swift decision of the MLB and the White Sox sends a clear message to such depravity, and it will not be tolerated. But again, they still have not released the name so that we can properly shame this person. I hope they get fired if they have a job. I hope they get knocked in the head by somebody. But like, what was the reason?
I mean, this falls into my thing that I think like sports betting is a net negative.
Yes.
For like, I think that men don't deserve sports betting. Like, I think women can bet on sports. I think men are too emotional to bet on sports. I think it is like a truly a net negative society wise. I also would love to get the name, photo, and the permanent kicking out of the woman who just kept yelling, "It's okay, it's okay," after he said that, and they're like cussing him out, being like, "Get this man out," and she's trying to de-escalate the situation, which is essentially sounds like she's with this guy, and is trying to be like, essentially being like, "It's fine, calm down, it's okay, and it's so patronizing, and I'm like, get her out too,
right? Get
her out too, because you're not chastising him or getting him to shut the fuck up. Now you only have words when he's getting kicked out. Bullshit, bull fucking shit. And yeah, kudos to that coach, and yeah, for protecting his players as best he can. And like, I'm sure that's a really frustrating feeling in that like you can't protect your players from everything. And like, you know, he was really like, you know, he talks about like being there, like being obviously really there for him when through the loss of his mother and like just like different like life things. And like, that's the stuff that you can't protect them from. And then when you have fans in like your place of work, you're safe, like all of this, like you're going to bring that shit in here. I think it's just like so fucking despicable.
Yeah. So that's the end of the episode. Do you have a favorite moment from the last 150 episodes?
Probably White Michael B. Jordan.
White Michael B. Jordan is a classic. A classic. Big Kale was a good one. Big Prenter was a good one.
Yep.
Big Milk was a great one. When I blatantly lied about farting.
Yeah, I love that too. George Santos.
George Santos. That might be my my real. That's when I really jumped off.
I love it. I'm already thinking about my White Michael B. Jordan. I'm giggling again. We hope you all enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to vote on who you think was wrong. In every segment, we'll read those answers on our
result.
We'll read those results on See You Next Tuesday. We would love to hear from you. We've got lots of other podcasts. We don't even need to list them because you can just...
I'll list them real quick. Don't Blame Me is on Thursdays. But Am I Wrong is this show. Monday, we've got... Tuesday, we've got See You Next Tuesday, and Friday, we've got Fisting Friday. That was all out of order, but
it's
have
totally
fun.
Fine. You guys, I'm so hungry. And Melissa's food's has been waiting there for her. So we hope you enjoyed. You can join the Patreon, watch the video versions of the podcast. You can also join us for live streams. We have twice a month. It's a great fun old time, and we will
circle back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
This is a Sister Sign production hosted by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Can you actually change your personality if you want to? How does peer pressure work, and why is it so powerful? Should you ever really trust your gut when you make a big decision? These are just a few of the topics we've recently covered on my podcast, Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and each episode of Something You Should Know covers multiple topics that are likely relevant to you. You'll discover things you can use in your life today, right now, like how to have a great conversation, how to be more courageous, the anatomy of the perfect apology, and much, much more. To date, there are over 1,000 episodes of Something You Should Know, and we've gotten over 4,000 mostly 5-star reviews. I invite you to check out Something You Should Know. Look for the bright yellow light bulb on the blue background. Something You Should Know, wherever you listen to podcasts.
From the podcast that brought you to each of the last lesbian bars in the country and back in time through the sapphic history that shaped them, comes a brand new season of cruising beyond the bars. This is your host, Sarah Gabrielli, and I've spent the past year interviewing history-making lesbians and queer folks about all kinds of queer spaces, from bookstores to farms to line dancing and much more.
For 11 years, every night women slept illegally on the common.
We would move down to the West Indies to form a lesbian nation.
Meg Kristen coined the phrase women's music, but she would have liked to say it was lesbian music.
And that's kind of the origins of the Comedy Fever Collective.
You can listen to Cruising on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes air every other Tuesday starting February 4th.
Let's hang out.
I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee, and we're the co-hosts of Let's Hang Out, a show about LGBTQ representation in the media, because representation matters. Come hang out with us to talk about all of the characters that should have been gay.
Because every movie or TV show would be better if it was gay.
Listen to us interview your favorite LGBTQ actors and creators.
Elise Bauman from Carmilla.
It just reminds me of like every time a queer woman becomes single, there's like this high-pitched siren that goes out that like only other queer women can hear, and they're like, "What was that? Like, did I just hear the bat signal? Is a queer woman single again?"
So binge on Let's Hang Out wherever you listen to podcasts, and hang out with us every Monday for your weekly LGBTQ fix.
I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.